Good morning, everyone. For the morning of Tuesday, the 7th of July, it's just before 9 o'clock, about 8:45. Probably our biggest frost for many years this morning. It was earlier on, it was -2. It's back to -1 now at 8:45. Very, very frosty. We don't often get many heavy frosts here at Errawarra, just to the northeast of Colac, but we've certainly got one this morning. And of course that will set the pasture growth back a bit now. Very, very chilly indeed. And very important on frosty mornings, I'm travelling down a farm track at the moment, never to go across grass or crop pastures with motorbikes or vehicles of any kind, because wherever you travel with your tracks, you will kill the grass. Because you just imagine every little grass or crop stem, leaf is all solidly frozen, and you drive over it, you'll be breaking all that cell structure of those plants and they die. And when the frost goes off, you can see two black lines, and then it'll be severely stunted or dead. So just going across the flats here, remarkable, just whilst I'm travelling along. Although we've had close to 6 inches, nearly 150 millimetres of rain for all of June and the first week of July, it's very, very good. That rainfall is soaked in, not even any rain in the drains or anything. And these are some of my wettest paddocks on the farm. And to give you an example, in the very wet years of the 1992, 93, 94, 95, this track here is significantly built up from ground level, and the water flows across that track. I've got pipes under the track up here. South is that way, and all the catchment from the south travelling to the north, she flows over the tracks here. So there'd be good, what would I say, 600-700 mils of water in the real solid winter times here, back in the old-fashioned winters we used to get. All of this paddock in particular would be underwater, particularly in August, September, and even some springs of October, that sort of thing, depending on how much July rainfall you'd sort of had as you went forward. But we haven't seen that for many years, of course. I know when my wife and I, we head outside at a bit after 4 in the morning to go milk. It wasn't as cold then as what it is now. I think it was about 1-2 degrees. And of course, traditionally, frosts around here always come in and get a lot heavier around just 6 o'clock in the morning type of thing. So there's I'll pull up there. There's our dairy cows over there. In another sacrifice paddock. And of course, I had to feed them this morning with the tractors. Wherever I've driven that tractor, that pasture will be severely knocked around. But it's an old pasture, and it's a purpose sacrifice paddock. So that's very important to think ahead with these things, because they were predicting a heavy frost this morning. So that's why I put them into that paddock. So moving right along, we're just cleaning out a paddock here with the last 10 or 15 dry cows, and I'll cultivate that weather depending in the next few weeks. And just looking out here now, if you recall last year, early June, we were preparing for the drought, which we were in the middle of a drought. This paddock out here, we planted to barley, 75 odd acres out there, and then we harvested it for silage on the 10th of October. And normally that's underwater out there. We didn't sow that this year to any crop, because we had ryegrass in that as well, and it's the ryegrass that's coming away. So, and even though with that nearly 150 millimetres of rain, there is, and that is the wettest paddock on the whole farm, there is no water laying on that low-lying country at all. It is all soaked in. So that certainly tells you how dry the soil is. And even on that low country, it's a hell of a lot of catching up to do as for replenishing the subsoil moisture. Well, if we can, if the day progresses along a little bit, we get a bit of sunshine out, It's normally a good day after a frost normally, so I better go and do a little bit more. I thought I'd just show you a bit of a roundup of a paddock or two of what we sown back in the autumn. This paddock here was sown on the 18th of April to matrix ryegrass. Now matrix is a perennial ryegrass, and we sowed this down at 30 kilos to the hectare, along with subclovers around I think 3 kilos to the hectare. Previously had a summer crop over summer, and sown a bit later than the others. It was sown sort of in October. Performed half reasonable, but the weather petered out for us there, so and it was a little bit dry. But now it's coming along quite well. In an ideal world, for those that use nitrogen, use urea, you could come in now with nitrogen and urea to boost this along a bit. Although urea has dropped in price, it is still quite expensive. The like, it all depends what you actually get out of it. Where we are understocked at the moment, so it's not critical that we get heaps and heaps of feed right now. So because of the cost of urea, we won't be putting any nitrogen on this at the moment. And also, as I say, this was deep moldboard ploughed down to 250 mil, 10 inches or thereabouts. The drainage is still quite good. I'm walking across this quite nicely. Trafficability, not that I would put cows on this now. I could put cows on this, no worries at all, and you wouldn't hardly do any damage. But what I'm trying to say here, if I put nitrogen on this and I wanted to graze it off, I would suffer a little bit of pasture damage, particularly if it come in a little bit wetter. So therefore, no point in forcing this new pasture along if you can't graze it. So there is no point in actually going to the expense and all the hassle and particularly the expense of growing the feed and putting out expensive urea if you can't graze it. So it's looking quite well. Cultivar like matrix, we keep it in our slightly lighter country, not our heavier country that cracks open, and I'll go into this as we progress in all future episodes. Basically, the start of the drought, 2024 was an absolute disaster, complete failure for the whole year. 2025 wasn't much better until we got to the spring, and then we had one spring out of the box, absolutely fantastic, that saved everybody. Produced heaps of feed. But then come the 15th of December 2025, it all knocked off, the rain knocked off, and we never really had any reasonable rain until the start of June. So we've got a lot of catching up to do, and we certainly take the rainfall we've had, that we've already had, and the sun we're very, very grateful for, because it's been a long time between rainfall drinks, I can tell you. But anyhow, that's just a bit of a shot of one of our dams there, quite a big dam, this one. That sun's a little bit bright in the face, but anyhow, not everything we do in farming is successful. In this case, we planted some lucerne here back on the 2nd of May into a pure sand paddock, and a fully winter active lucerne we put in here at 14 kilos to the hectare. And when we planted it, not long after, we only had a small amount of rain, which effectively germinated the seed, and then we didn't get any follow-up, and all that seed burnt off, died. So we class that now as a failure. Now also some chickweed and stuff has come through. So what we'll do now is we'll take that opportunity in the springtime, early springtime. We'll just leave this paddock here. We won't do anything with it. We will spray that out and have a perfectly clean paddock again. It was normally pretty clean. Yeah, so a good crop of forest oats and looking back onto our flat country over there. And there's our dairy cows in a sacrifice paddock where we feed them silage. Well, we're about to head off. We're off to Melbourne Airport. Taking Rachel, she's off on a European trip, so well, for a good 5 weeks, I think, whatever it is. So we've just left Sean and Elsie at the dairy, and yeah, I've got Jodie and Rachael with me, and yeah, so I hope we're going to have a good trip.
In following up to your first episode release of your vlog last week, how were you surprised at how many people watched and followed your video?
Yeah, good question, Rachel. Very, very interesting. Other than being on Facebook for 10 or 12 years, I'm pretty new to all of this social media game. And one thing I was very surprised at is with the release of the Martin's Family Farm Facebook site, we're 220 odd or more, give or take a bit. I think the last time I looked, followers on that Facebook thing. And YouTube, as I say, Emily's got us on YouTube as well. And views on the opening night, which was 7 o'clock yesterday evening, we're up to 560 or 70 views so far. And heaps of subscribers on Facebook as well. So, yeah, always seen the power of social media on the television and all that sort of stuff, and in our own little way you can clearly see the power of social media. And at the end of the day, all we're trying to just do is like what we've always done in the past, just share what we do. And if we in our own little way can demonstrate and show people that aren't really involved in agriculture what we do, and it can only be good for the industry in general.
What does it mean to you to see so much interest in your family's story?
It's rather humbling, actually. Interest in the family's story. Initially, I suppose people just sparked their interest, but I hope that interest as we go along, it'll be to try and make it interesting and not false. It's all of what we do, and warts and all, the failures in growing crops as well as the successes. But yeah, rather humbling that people would go out of their way just to have a bit of a look at see what we do over the last couple of days anyway. So
in following up to that, have you had anyone reach out with messages or anything like that?
I've had a couple of phone calls, a couple of good friends of mine. So, oh, John, what's the story? We see you on YouTube. I said, I thought you said you didn't look at YouTube. I told my mates. I said, oh yeah, we saw this, and they said, and I explained why we did this. Oh yeah, not a bad idea. And just a couple of things, if people just get a couple of good things out of it, and I know looking at YouTube and stuff, I've learned plenty of things, and so long as we can learn and other people learn, and it's all for good. Yeah, so definitely fielded a number of phone calls and a couple of text messages. So yeah, which has been good, actually, really good. So
what's coming up in the next few episodes, and what are you looking forward to sharing in the weeks ahead?
Now, Emily, as I said, Emily Harding, who lives in Canberra, who's the one that's got us into this in a good way. We've taken some base videos that you can mix and match, and then I just do my normal things. I'm not going out of my way just to take footage for the fun of it. It's just that I've got a nice little pocket camera. Incidentally, it's called a DJI Osmo Pocket 4. Absolute legend of a little thing. Just with a gimbal on the end, and I just put it in my pocket and whatever I'm doing on the farm, I'll just take a bit of a quick video so I can just go about my farming thing without wasting any time. So from a farming perspective, no time wasted, and it's our quietest time of the year at the moment, so won't be much stuff. There'll be enough to keep you interested, sort of thing. And yeah, so other than that, what's coming up? I suppose a couple of cropping ones. I think I did one about oats, pastures, phalaris, all this type of thing. Just depends what Emily wants to blend in. She's doing twice weekly, I think, just to get the interest and get people really spurred in. There's a weekly update on a Sunday evening or Sunday sometime, I think. I've left all that up to Emily. As I said, I would never have gone down this path because all the editing and all the rest of it would take you ages and ages. I reckon there'd be good 8 hours a week, and of course I would never do that. I'm running a business and in farming, and that certainly wouldn't be for me. And you wouldn't get us on YouTube or anything like that to do any of that. So that's one good thing where Emily's taken that on board, and the wonders of modern technology, whereas you've got a good camera and a good computer system, and you can shoot it up to the cloud, and then I can send it to Emily in Canberra, and I'm about to get onto the Princess Highway, and it's a Friday afternoon at 20 to 4, and there's a lot of traffic about, so and we'll see if we can negotiate this Princess Highway goat track to Geelong, then particularly from Colac to Geelong, which has got some pretty serious potholes like everywhere else in it, and see we don't do any damage. And we're just about nearly got a position here. Right, off we go. And as I say, yeah, we shoot it off to the cloud, and then Emily can edit it, and it's quite remarkable when you think of it. But you can only do that with really modern, good technology. And in doing the research, you had to have a really good camera, and it wasn't very expensive either. So DJI Osmo Pocket 4 for anyone that wants a really affordable video camera. There on a portable sort of a thing, yeah. So, but other than that, anything else, Rachel, Jody, you want to say anything? I know you've spoken about it a bit and said you found it quite interesting. What do you think? Oh, Jesus, it's a rough road. Jody?
It's good to see people interested.
Rachel, what's your experience, thoughts on your experience on this whole thing?
I don't know, I have to think of public speaking on the fly.
There's holes in this road you could bury a bloody cow in. Or bury a bloody lamb in, let's put it that way. Yeah, so thank everybody for taking the time to watch us on Facebook, Instagram or YouTube, and particularly for subscribing and that on YouTube. Thank you. All the best. No worries. Catch ya. And off to Melbourne we go with Rachael. And you can down here at Melbourne International Airport. Not long now before Rachael heads off to Europe for the next 5 weeks or so. We'll see you in about 5 weeks' time on your trip to Europe. And yeah, best of luck. Hope you have a good time. Hang on. That was your mother 8 years ago. She was in the same spot. Have a good time, Rachael. And leave those Italians and Spanish and the French blokes alone. Righto. And there she goes, off to Europe for 5 weeks. Mum's looking pretty sad. And there we go. Well, until next time, have a good one. Catch ya, John.